Good evening and welcome to a healthy and happy Wednesday evening. It is a time of our Lord. It is Holy Week, and I hope that you had a wonderful day and it was everything that you wanted it to be, and you are enjoying the pre-Easter season. If you are driving home with us or already at home, we are looking forward to spending the next hour with you and you with us. We come to you live and local from the WND studio right here in Linwood, New Jersey, News Talk 1400 WND. And we are always streaming live on WONDradio.com on the computer. So if you can't get us, if you're out of earshot, please put your computer on. If you are still on the road and driving home, please give a beep out there, give a honk out there to our heroic frontline workers, our doctors, nurses, home health care providers, police, firemen, ambulance drivers, EMTs, veterinarians, pharmacists, our spiritual directors, and all of those wonderful people on the front line that have been helping us through this horrendous pandemic. This evening is going to be one that I've never experienced. This evening, my very special guests are Rosemarie and Joan D'Alessandro in tribute to beautiful Joan Angela D'Alessandro and the Joan's Joy Foundation. I think it's Joan's Joy Foundation. And of course, Rosemarie will correct me on that. Joan was 7 years old, a beautiful little girl, and a proud brownie when she was delivering 2 boxes of Girl Scout cookies to a neighbor who lived across the street. Only three houses down from Joan's home. The neighbor, a Tappan Zee High School chemistry teacher, Joseph McGowan, sexually molested and murdered beautiful Joan on April 19th, 1973, Holy Thursday, which is tomorrow. Joan's body was found 3 days later on Easter Sunday in a sepulchre-like space in a large rock at Harriman State Park in New York. Rosemarie D'Alessandro, Joan's mother, and my very special angel of a guest this evening believed that changes in our laws were needed and has worked tirelessly for the past 48 years tomorrow since Joan's death to pass 4 legislations for other children and families. This evening, Rosemarie and Joan Alessandro will guide us through the events of Joan's life and the Joan's Joy Foundation and how we, as compassionate and concerned human people, human Americans, people, citizens of the universe, can make a difference. Let me just read a little something to you before we bring Rosemarie on. Joan was a loving and brave little girl who was full of life and would stand up for others. She was a spunky, caring, and balanced child who loved daffodils, dogs, dancing, whistling, and high diving. Her special colors were green and orange. What else would Joan love? She was bright and sweet and full of love. She joked around and enjoyed the piano and her favorite song, Ode to Joy, which we tried to play earlier, but it was a little too, I knew of a more of an up-tempo Ode to Joy. Joan was proud to be a Girl Scout brownie, as I said, while delivering cookies on Holy Thursday, 1973. Joan became the victim of a heinous crime at the hands of a neighbor who lived only 3 houses away. Without further ado, I would like to welcome the angel in our universe and her son, John. Rosemarie and John, it is truly a humbling experience and honor to have you on the show. If you have, and again, you know, we're probably not going to take any questions tonight because we want to hear from Rosemarie and we'd love to hear from John about the history of Joan and Joan's Foundation. Welcome, Rosemarie.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi.
I'm here in the foundation room.
Oh, you
and looking at everything while I'm talking to you. And that was a great introduction.
Oh.
So this way, you know, people know a little bit more about everything before I start to talk. So that was great, Lorry. And thank you so much for having us on, and how, you know, Denise helped to network it.
Yes.
And I think that this could be an answer to a dream, because I feel that something is going to happen with this energy going out there even more.
Yes. Yes.
Because of you being an entertainer, and my daughter, she had that in her too. People would ask me, what did I think she would do when she grew up? And one of the things I said was that I could see her in the theater. I could see her doing that.
And I'm sure she would have. She's an absolutely beautiful, astounding, gorgeous child, and you have worked so tirelessly, Rosemarie, all these years to keep her memory alive every single day. Every single day.
It's been 28 years. This year, on September 30th. That's when I started the movement.
You started the movement 28 years ago, and
1993. Yeah.
And Joan was taken from us, and that was, what year was that? Was that on April? That was. Tell us when Joan was taken from us.
Joan was. It was on Holy Thursday, and it was in 1973, and she was delivering the last 2 boxes of cookies. And she was playing in the front yard, and I was sitting in the brown chair near the railing. Well, it wasn't brown. It's the same chair that I have now, but now it has brown upholstery, and then it had a beautiful aqua tweed. And I remember sitting there. She comes in very quickly, and she says, "I saw the new car," which you could see from the front. You could see the driveway, and she said, "I'll be right back. I'll be right back, Mommy." And then her little ponytail was bopping up and down while she was going down the front stairs.
Aww.
And then at that time they had those little elastics with the little balls, and I remember she had 2 light blue balls, and maybe the size of bubble gum.
Yes.
Like, say, a medium-sized bubble gum ball.
Yes.
And I remember, and then I said, she says, "I'll be right back, Mommy." And I said to her, "Okay, goodbye, Joan. Goodbye, Mommy." And it's really something. The last thing I would have thought of is that, I would never see her again.
My goodness, my God, of course. And what you have done, we never know. When our children go out the door, Rosemarie, no matter what age they are, parents worry so much. I remember my mom used to wait up for me. It didn't matter how old I was, 16, 17, 18. She'd wait at the window till I came home. And I can't imagine what you went through and your family went through. But what you've done, the tragedy and injustice sparked a movement, your movement of positive change that was led by you, Rosemarie. It began in Hillside to protect children and keep them safe. Hillsdale, I'm sorry. To protect them and keep them safe. Joan will always be remembered for inspiring the passage of laws that ensure victims' rights. And we're going to talk about these laws tonight. We're going to hear more about...
I have to talk about one thing.
Go, Rosemarie, it's all you.
Why did I get such a goal? Why am I so determined? Why do I do what I do? Well, because, you see, in my faith, Holy Thursday and Easter are very important days. Like, that's the Triduum, and those are the most important days of the year. Plus, Joan, knowing Joan, and having this gift of Joan.
Yes.
So it was Holy Thursday, it was Easter, and it was Joan. So that gave me the purpose that I have. And then it also, I felt hope there because of Easter. Because as we know, Easter is a special day of hope.
Yes, it is.
And the hope did happen, in time. But I was looking for a sign. And I said, there's hope here. It's not just a tragedy. And, don't think it was easy while I was going through it.
Oh, my goodness.
It's not.
I can't, yes.
But still, it focused me. It focused me to always look for a sign every day.
Yes.
So then it was 93 that when Joan's killer had a very good chance to get out of prison, that I started being the voice for Joan, and then I knew that was the message, that was the sign.
Yes. That
things had to change in society, and then that's how I started.
And
so God, you have to remember.
Yes.
You have to remember too, with all this, I was always dealing with myasthenia gravis.
I was going to ask you about that. Yes, you've had, myasthenia gravis, and
This is part of the journey. This is part of the journey because when Joan was, she went to the next world, and I was, at that time, they were searching to find out what was wrong with me because I had this tiredness and weakness. And it took about 8 years to find out, and that was with electric tests. And that was a year after Joan died. But before that, I was searching for it 7 years before that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always blaming it on having 3 children in 2 years.
Yes.
And so I said, well, it could be that. I was in my early 20s.
Yes, that's young.
I was kind of, it's just listening. I said, oh, they must be right, But then, it was too different. The tiredness was different.
Yes.
And then they were saying all these things like, trying to diagnose me, this, that, and the other. But meanwhile, I got stronger because I knew I was almost like fighting for my rights there to say, you know what? No, you're not understanding what I have. You're not listening to me.
Yes.
So I kept on just searching and searching.
Yes, yes.
So we found out I had myasthenia gravis. And myasthenia gravis is rare. It has to do with a sick tiredness, abnormal tiredness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't like, say, most people, they'll get tired, but their body will accommodate to it, and the energy will come back.
Yes.
With me, I have to go, like resting is the medicine that always proved to be the medicine.
Yes.
And right now, I haven't driven in about more than like 25 years.
Okay.
Because it affects your eyes.
Yes.
But I want to tell you something. They are very, very supportive. And it's called, there's the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation of America. And what it does is every June it has MG Awareness Month. In fact, Governor Whitman, after I got the first walkthrough in 97, she came to my house in 98.
Oh.
And she signed the proclamation and gave it to me.
Wow.
It was in 98. So anyway, they do have, like, if people are interested to learn more about it.
Yes.
Because I'm going to tell you, everybody, it's hard to have MG, but it doesn't have to make you stop.
Yes.
It didn't make me stop, but it made everything much, much harder.
Much more difficult to do, but you...
Much more difficult because I wasn't free to do what, you take for granted.
But Rosemarie, you've accomplished so much, even with...
Say one more thing with the myasthenia. With the myasthenia, there's myasthenia.org.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then what people get a lot of information, and it could help people that might they might have it and they could check it out.
Thank you.
Because
Yes.
And they're going to find out wonderful things because they're just progressing very well.
Oh, yes, myasthenia.org.
I had to explain that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Part of me.
Thank you. It is part. It's you. It's part of you. But through all that, God has gifted you with this energy, even though your energy is depleted, to go on because you're doing this in the name of Joan and other families and children. And so what we're going to we're going to do a break in about 2 minutes, Rosemarie, but I just want everybody to know that the killer, this murderer, this disgusting piece of dirt that is still breathing to this day came up for parole only 14 years after he was imprisoned. Correct?
He got 14 years, which meant life at that time.
Oh.
Did you believe that?
No.
I didn't know. I did not know. When they said he got life,
yes,
I thought he had life.
Yes.
Then when he came up, and he has a chance to get out, I mean, it was like another world. I was not educated this way. I was not informed.
Yes,
so
none of us. None of us are.
Home.
No,
14 years.
None of us are, Rosemarie. And what I'd like to talk about, we're going to just take a quick little news break. I'm not even airing our second group of commercials because this is too important. We're going to talk about keeping the killers in prison and what you have done with 4 legislations, 3 in New Jersey,
5 legislations.
5.
Wow. 6 one in the works, another one in New York State.
And we're going to talk about this on the New Jersey level and the federal level, and how for some reason the killer he did not fall under this jurisdiction because it was after he was already in prison, correct? Right. So we're going to talk about that.
Myself.
We're going
to. I did it for society.
We're going to talk about that. I know you do, and you do it every single day for others and families, and so they don't have to go through what you went through and still continue to go through, Rosemarie. And I want to talk a little bit more. I want to talk a little bit more about Joan and the beauty of Joan, and if you don't mind telling us about the details that happened that day, from Holy Thursday to Easter Sunday, and if you don't mind, we are visiting, and what an honor! This is such an honor, and it's a humbling honor for me, Rosemarie D'Alessandro, and John and her son. Hi, John, and we also have Denise on the line. We're going to bring Denise on right after the news, and we're going to speak about beautiful Joan, and we want to support, and you can send donations. We're going to tell you where, and that's Joan's Joy Foundation. Rosemarie, John, Denise, please stay with us. We're going to be back after the news right away. Please stay with us.
Now back to the Lorry Young Show on News Talk 1400 WOND.
And Lori's very special guests today are Rosemarie D'Alessandro, John D'Alessandro, and Denise Black.
Welcome back to the show. Bless the beasts and the children. Yes, give them shelter from the storm. Keep them safe and warm. And Rosemarie D'Alessandro is doing so. Holy Thursday, 1973. Was the most devastating day of Rosemarie D'Alessandro's life. It also marked the moment her life took a new direction and continues on that path and direction. That day, 48 years ago tomorrow, Rosemarie D'Alessandro's 7-year-old daughter Joan left home to deliver Girl Scout cookies. She never returned. On Easter Sunday, 3 days after little Joan disappeared, her small body was found in a Harriman Park state in New York. Welcome back to the show, Rosemarie, John, and Denise. Rosemarie, hi. How are you, John?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you so much. And your mom tells me that you are a strong advocate. You're the force behind Joan's Foundation, and how wonderful that is that you do this for everyone, and you're doing it for everyone.
Yeah, mostly I do the computer work. I would say my mother is the force behind everything. But,
yes, she is. She's a force of nature. She really is, and God has blessed her. Even with the myasthenia gravis, she still is. And
I'm very fortunate to have Michael and John, the 2 boys that were born after she died.
Okay.
Because those are the ones that were going to really help.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be. It was almost like a gift from God.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And before we bring you on, Rosemarie, I want to say hello to Denise, because Denise kind of, gave us the connection. Hi, Denise. How are you?
I'm good, girl. How are you?
I am well. Denise, Joan, of course, Rosemarie's on the line. Joan is on the line, too. Hey, Joan. Joan is with us this evening. She's with you all the time. She is. She's sitting right here at the other mic. She is. She's smiling and laughing, and she's with us. Welcome, Joan. Maybe Joan might join in. So, Denise, tell us a little bit about how you met Rosemarie. And and you really networked to me, which was one of the finest things that I've ever experienced.
Well, let me tell you, this is the power of radio, and I hope Paul and Stuart are listening, because if they don't understand how one person can make an impact on somebody else's life, this radio station has done it in a heartbeat. I was listening to the overnight George Lorry at 1 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes I sleep through it, and other times I listen carefully. And it just so happens I heard him preview his show, and he was talking about having on a man who wrote a book. He was a FBI agent who wrote a book, and it was going to highlight the aftermath of what happened to a little girl in Hillsdale, New Jersey. Well, my ears perked up because as you and I are both from Bergen County, and Hillsdale is about maybe 10 towns from Fort Lee, where I was born and raised.
Right.
I still have ties up there. My son's still up there. So, for all intent and purpose, that's how I became involved. The next morning, it was too late to call Rosemarie on the phone, but I Googled all the information. I got her phone number. I called her and I said, "Listen, I don't know why or how, but I'm going to be a part of your life, whether you like it or not." And then a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, we all met. Me, John, Rosemarie, and Michael. We met at one of our family functions. We had a family function, and we invited them up there because I had to meet her. And so the bottom line is, I'm working on my end on a project that we'll delve into it on another day because it's pretty involved.
Okay. So,
but for all intent and purpose, that's the power of radio brought Rosemarie into my life. And I have to tell you, I have a piano in my house, and I have Joan's picture along with a few other very critical pictures in my life on my piano, and when I go downstairs I have to pass it every day of my life, several times a day, and I look at her picture and I sense that there is some type of a connection between their family and mine, and nothing to do with being Italian. It has to do with being a person. But I have to say that I'm as committed to whatever Rosemarie does as she is. That's how committed I am to this little girl.
And we all need to be committed to Joan's Joy Foundation, and we're going to let everybody know where they can send donations, how they can help. It doesn't matter. Any little thing will help. And it's a nonprofit. All the money goes to help other children and other families. And Rosemary's going to hopefully explain that to us a little bit now. And Denise, thank you so much. And thank you for introducing me to Rosemarie and John and Joan. Thank you. All right. Rosemarie, that was.
I like it. I like it that you're talking about Joan like that, because I could use this laugh. Use it.
Well, she is. Well, you have to know that because she's got little wings. I mean, we even see some feathers in here. Joan is definitely with us. And there's so much to talk about. And I know we're not going to get through this show, but you are going to come back periodically because I love you, your mission, and we love Joan, and we all want to help because you're helping other families so they do not have to go through what you've suffered through, the tragic and horrific event. And Rosemarie, if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit more about the event that happened from Thursday to Easter, and then again the movement that you started?
Okay. I just wanted to mention before I go into it that the technical name for the foundation is the Joan Angela D'Alessandro Foundation.
Okay.
And then we always call it Joan's Joy Foundation.
Okay.
That's the easy way.
Okay.
And so Holy Thursday in 1973 was April 19th. So just think tomorrow's Holy Thursday.
Yes.
And then, which it is. And then today, like on Wednesday, she had a half day of school. She went to St. John's. John the Baptist, they used to call it then. Mm-hmm. And so they had a half day of school, and she would come home, and she had a poncho, and she always had it it wasn't put on. It was put on anyway. It was partly off the shoulder, maybe another one. Socks would come down, your little socks, the knee socks.
Yes.
In fact, I have right now. I have her poncho right here on my lap.
Oh.
And I just made the bow on it, and it's different shades of green, her favorite color. And I am being her voice today.
Yes, you are.
I'm being her voice.
Yes, you are. Every day you are, Rosemarie.
She's talking. Now, so what she's saying is that, it was about 10 to 3, that's when she left. It was 3 p.m. to go to deliver the 2 boxes of cookies that were left in the Girl Scout carton box. And she took this box and with the handle, and it was a big thing for her because she was the youngest of the 3.
Yes.
One was 7, one was 8, and one was 9 of the children. And so then she went. She didn't come back. And then just to think that 5 minutes after she left, she was being murdered. And she was lured to go downstairs. She was raised not to go into people's houses, and that was very ahead of the time, because in 73, I mean, there were children going out, like, by themselves.
Yes.
Because she, to deliver, and they were out all day, because that's the way it was.
Right.
You would just go on your bike.
Yes.
Everything was just like that, very free.
Safe, yes.
So she goes, so she did go, and he lured her in. He said, I was a teacher, I could lure her in.
He said that.
And they did know, and then they did know that he did know when she came to the door that she was not going to be alive anymore. And they did find out that even if it was a 70-year-old woman, that woman wouldn't have been alive either.
So that day he would have.
At that time, he was ready to kill.
He was a chemistry teacher, correct? In a school,
yes,
in a high school.
Chemistry teacher. Mm-hmm. Some of the kids thought he was great. Some of the kids thought he was kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was
John McGowan. His name is John McGowan, by the way. If anybody wants to.
Joseph.
I'm sorry, Joseph McGowan. Joseph. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like to say his name really too much.
Yeah.
I'd rather say my daughter's name.
Absolutely.
But at one time we have to say it.
Unfortunately,
and
right.
Then what happened is he, sexually molested her, and he murdered her twice. Strangled her. He beat her head down on the floor. Her whole head cracked. And remember, she says innocent in anything, mm-hmm. and all this is happening after she's saying goodbye to her mommy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, the house. I still live in the same house, and I'm very happy I live in this house. This house is very special.
Oh yes.
Because staying here, did not know that after years later we were going to have to fight to keep the killer in prison. And here it was. I was in the same community that people knew about it and that were very affected by it. Very affected by it.
Oh, I can imagine.
So then they were going to support. If I moved, right?
Absolutely.
So that was the good part about having MG, because I wasn't going to be strong enough to move, mm-hmm. and I had 2 other children to take care of, and the 2 children were very important to me. That they really be children. And they not be into more drama than it was.
Yes.
So if they had moved, then they'd be away from their school, and so there were a lot of good parts to it. But the MG really stopped me from moving.
Yes.
So that was the MG.
And so it worked in a special way. And you're as I said, you're around Joan every single day, Rosemarie. Joan is in the environment every single day. She lives there. She's with you constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it went on, and she was found on Easter Sunday morning. That is.
Well, then what happened was they searched for her. Fire truck came. I went that night, and I wanted to see if he saw Joan. And I went into the foyer. I wanted to put my feet on that foyer because that's where her feet were just put there. Mm-hmm. So I thought there would be nobody else. So my feet would be on her footsteps.
Oh yes.
My footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right there, just about maybe. We were head to head. I'm 5'9 and a half. Maybe he's 6'2" or so, and right there. And then the big fire truck came, and I had tears, and I saw how cold he was, and how with no emotion, and I knew he had done it.
You told me that when we spoke privately.
Yeah, I knew he had done it. As a mother.
Yes, as a mother.
My own intuition,
yes.
Knowing my daughter, just everything. I knew he had done it. So when I left the house, I didn't say anything because I was with my son, my other son, when I went to the house, and I told him to stay outside. I go in and didn't say anything. And then I did tell the police guy when I saw him right away, the detective. And the detective said, oh, like as to say, like don't, like don't get so emotional or something.
Oh.
And I says, wow. I said, wow.
Is right.
I said, I never forget that. It was so terrible to hear. And I was like, all, stiff from the shock.
Oh my God.
But I wasn't crying. I wasn't screaming. I just spoke to him. And I says, wow. I said,
You were in shock.
So I said, this is going to be hard. It's not going to be only hard, the obvious way. It's going to be hard in a lot of ways. And then I found out it was very, very difficult with a lot of things.
I don't know how you did it, Rosemarie. I don't know.
I mean, just things that you could not even surmise.
No.
And then, but I just would just keep on. Mm-hmm. And I said, we're not going to keep Joan in the cemetery. She's tight enough to be squashed. And look at this, 48 years later.
Yes.
And on this April 19th, has she been squashed? No,
she hasn't.
And you know what? And it's going to go on after my time, after your time. It's not going to be squashed.
Never.
This
Exactly.
is awesome. It's awesome. And that's the hope, everybody. That's the hope that I want you to see. And I want you to see that there's ways that we could all do things to change things.
And
right?
And let's talk. Let's talk about that, Rosemarie. Let's talk about the legislations, what you've done, and what they stand for. Please, that's so important to all of us.
Well, what happened was we got so many people, hundreds of thousands of people reacting to this news that he was going to have a chance to get out. I was told by the prosecutor's office, if you don't fight, there's a chance. So with that, I said, if we had a law like the one I was kind of like inventing, trying to get words for. If we had this kind of law, we wouldn't have to go through this. My family wouldn't have to go through this.
Yes.
And the community wouldn't have to go through it. I said, we have to have change. I said, I know it's not going to help us, but it's time for change. You cannot be selfish and just think, oh, it's not going to help me, so why should I bother? It's hard enough. But you do have reason to think that way when you're in such, situations.
Yes,
so I don't judge people that didn't do it. So anyway, that's how it started. We got the first Jones Law, and that was in New Jersey in 97.
Yes.
Governor Whitman did sign it, and the law says no parole ever for people that sexually assault children under 14 and murder them.
Good. God
what
bless.
That means is no more testifying like we did, no more appeals like we had about 3 appeals. It was getting closer and closer that he could come out because he had money, and none of that.
Good.
That means it's just simple. They will die in prison.
Good. And
so
then
we got that Jones Law. We got Jones Law in 97 in New Jersey, and then we got that same law in New York State in 2004, and then we got the expansion of Jones Law. That was the one that took 7 years to get through.
Wow.
That was in 2017, and that expanded the age to under 18. So right now we're working on another law for New York to expand it under 18. And then there's the federal law, everyone. Federal property is more property than you think, all around the whole United States of America. And that is Jones Law, and that was signed in 98, and Bill Clinton signed that.
Oh, thank you, President
and
Clinton.
And because of a tremendous statesman, congressman, his name was Bob Franks, and he died prematurely. That's why we got that through. And then there was another law, the Justice Victims Law, which I'd like everybody in New Jersey to know about. What that does is now we have no statute of limitation to sue with wrongful death. against someone that is the perpetrator. If they get money, if they have a book and they get money, if they get inheritance, that the victim can sue now. And it doesn't matter even if the case was 50 years ago.
Wow.
So one person sued and they got about almost $10 million.
God bless them.
Because because the killer had gotten money from a relative that was very, very wealthy.
Yes. It doesn't bring...
That's the same movement.
That is unbelievable. So in 97, 98, 2000, 2004,
98,
and 2017, and you're still going. Tell us a little bit. We're coming to the end, but Rosemarie, I would love you to come on in a week or two.
John could talk about
the
foundation.
Yes, I'd like to talk about sure.
How people could help.
Yeah, exactly what I'd like. The foundation promotes child safety by programs and supporting legislation that helps or advocates for neglected and abused children. John, would you tell us about the foundation Joan's Joy?
Oh, definitely, yes. So the website is joansjoy.org, and it's my mother, after the legislation around 1998, it was formed, and it's moved more into the way of programs to benefit disadvantaged children and poor children and children who have been victims, and as well as supporting victims and child safety. But part of the mission of the foundation was formed because my mother changed her, she looked at maybe like the root causes of crime and where to start with children who aren't getting the right amount of care. And so we've partnered with a lot of shelters and provided them fun experiences. And so that's what we're involved in now, programs such as Joy Chats, such as the a pet therapy program that we're involved in implementing at the YCS Holly Center. And we've had lots of fundraisers, mainly since 2009, yard sales, rallies, safety fests, where we bring together child safety education and entertainment, and people come and do raffles. The raffle money goes to the kids, and and we provide entertainment.
Wow.
And that's a combination of everything.
That's absolutely incredible. And once again, John, please give us the website and where people can go to, and Rosemarie, if they want to donate to, I'm going to call it the formal name, Joan Angela D'Alessandro Foundation, which is Joan's Joy.
Yes, it's joansjoy.org. And in fact, we just started a scholarship to in our local high school to continue the movement to honor a student who stands up for others. And that's always been a theme, standing up for others. And that's really what my mother has always advocated for, that anyone could stand up and make a difference.
And you have made such a difference. You had made such a difference in so many children's lives and families, and you've withstood all the pain, but yet you still come out from tragedy comes triumph, John. And both you and your mom and the family are so triumphant in getting this done for other children and other families. So important. And before, let's really quickly, I'd like to, because we only have a few minutes, and of course I would definitely, hopefully both of you will come back on, and with Denise. Rosemarie, can you tell us a little bit before we go about the white butterflies?
Okay, well, the white butterfly happened when I went to the site where Joan was found in the mountains in Harriman State Park.
Yes.
And it was I hadn't gone there in 8 years, so I had gotten stronger that I was able to go. And it was on April 22nd, and that was the day that was Easter at that time when Joan was found. And I'm coming up the mountain behind the two boulders that connect with each other. And at the bottom part of the hill, those two boulders come together, and it's like an opening in a cave, and that's where Joan's body was. So I see something flying, like between these two boulders on the top of the hill, and that was the street level, and it was something white. So I thought it was a moth, but I said, no, it can't be a moth. This is the day. So I was not aware that we have cabbage white. We have white butterflies called cabbage white, and that's what it was.
Oh,
So
my.
then I took it as a sign that Joan was very happy that now I could be going out there more, not be, staying in bed the way I used to a lot.
Yes.
But I used to work from bed on laws, everybody. I used to work from bed on laws. Believe me, I didn't stop.
Can I jump in here for a second?
We have a couple.
Yeah.
Go ahead, real quick, Denise. Yes.
I went to Rosemarie's function a couple of years ago, and she was releasing butterflies, and they were monarch butterflies, which are typically orange and black. And there was one butterfly. It was basically blanched. It wasn't colorful at all.
Mm-hmm.
You might say it was grayish.
Yes.
It would not leave the box. Remember that, Rosemary? It would not leave the box.
Yeah, it was like almost white. It was almost like white.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was.
So then the white butterfly became like a sign of hope, and Joan was happy. Now I could be her voice.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's very important. That white butterfly, when you see a white butterfly, it might be Joan saying hi to you, everybody.
And what you told me that I never knew
And you
was.
too, Lori.
Oh, I will. I will. Hopefully I'll be immersed in white butterflies. And you told me that Saint Joan of Arc, as she was going to the stake to be burned at the stake,
Well,
white butterfly.
When she went to war.
Oh,
no,
when she went to
war.
Okay.
I found out through one of our volunteers and who I helped that was in a very, tragic situation. She went to France a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and then she told me she found out that when St. Joan of Arc, and she was in France, St. Joan of Arc was going to war, white butterflies were behind her as she was going to war.
Isn't that
And then I said, how could that be? I looked in Wikipedia, I looked in the internet, and and they said the whole story of all these white butterflies behind St. Joan of Arc's back as she was going to war.
Well, that was.
What do you think of that? And then
We have
Joan
the
of
white
Arc,
butterfly
Joan's name.
sculpture in garden in Hillsdale.
You do have that. Oh my, that is
White
absolutely.
butterfly sculpture in Hillsdale train station.
That's absolutely beautiful. And now people can reach you also at Rose, ROSEBD, at email.com, both John and Rosemarie.
That email.com, yeah.
At email.com, yes, ROSEBD. Would both of you be kind enough to come back? I want to talk about the documentary that's being made, the book. I want to talk about the book that's going to be coming out in May, and I want to talk also about Fox.
Well, there is a book out already. There is a book called A Killer Across the Table.
Yes.
And that's the one with 9 chapters. And the other now is going to be I'm going to be on Fox News Nation on May 3rd.
May
So
3rd.
people could see the interview there.
I'm going to have you back. I'm going to have you back in April if you will allow me to have both you and John back. It would be an honor.
Okay.
And we can promote
And then
this.
maybe Michael might come
And
back,
maybe-
because Michael couldn't make it tonight.
And
yeah.
maybe. I want to thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for your kindness. Out of tragedy comes triumph. Every day, Joan's death and memory saves another child, Rosemarie, and puts a killer behind bars for life without the future of parole. Because of you, Rosemarie, because of you, John, and God bless you. Thank you so very much. And Joan, thank you, my dear. You're watching all of us. Thank you. Thanks to both of you. And
Lori, thank you so much for being part of this.
I will
Getting
always.
the message out that I could never get out.
I will always be part of this.
Just so awesome.
Well, we will always
and
be
thank
friends.
You, Denise, too.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you, and thank you, Denise. And God bless you. God bless you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And
Bye, everybody.
bye. Bye, Rosemarie. And thanks
Good
to all
night.
of you.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Thanks to all of you for listening to Rosemarie's Story and the Mission. And please, don't forget, jonesjoy.org. Make a difference. Help our children to put these horrific criminals behind bars without any chance of parole. We love you out there. We're going to have Rosemarie and John and Denise back in April to continue her story, Joan's legacy. God bless you, Joan. We love you. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks.